Hey, that was nice. Short and sweet. That's the way I like it. Okay, thank you very much. And I'm very happy to be here. Festival of Traders. It's always, honestly, I enjoy doing these webinars and these presentations, especially in the world that we're living in today, because what we do here at 10 Minute Trades is really, really important and appropriate for what's going on in the world. Because if you think about it, we have all become news traders, whether we like it or not. We are constantly bombarded with tweets, comments from the Fed, comments from everyone in the world that is affecting the markets. And if you don't become an expert news trader, you're going to create much more difficult trading for yourself. I believe that firmly. So today I'm going to teach you the beginnings of becoming a news trading expert. Now, I'm just curious about a couple of things. There's a lot of people here. Curious if you're trading in a cash account or a prop account. So if you would just type in cash or prop, and I'm just also wondering if you're trading in a prop account, yes or no, that you have actually taken money from your account. So prop or cash, and yes or no for your taking money. I'm just curious to see how people are doing. And the world of trading has changed dramatically in the last 18 months. We've gone from years ago when I first started, I've been with 10 Minute Trades for 8 years. Um, Everybody traded cash. There were no prop accounts. It just didn't exist for the average person, the retail trader. And now what we're seeing is probably 80% of everybody is trading with prop accounts. And there's an upside and a downside to that. I think that prop accounts are creating a tremendous amount of bad habits in traders. And it's very important to remember that everything that you do matters. And sometimes we get lost because there's sometimes no pain when you lose in a prop account. So I just want to, just as a public service announcement, want to remind everyone to trade in a prop account, in a SIM account, the same way you would trade in a cash account, because that will create the habits that will go on to making you a more successful trader. So just my piece of advice, extra above and beyond the point of this webinar. It's just something I've been thinking about a lot today. So I want to talk about becoming a news trading expert, trading on a schedule, trading in a very special way. And my name is Leigh Goldstein. I'm the trading director for 10 Minute Trades. Like I said, I've been here for more than 8 years now. It's possible to lose money trading futures, and that's what we do. We trade futures, so please trade carefully, trade smart. And also, I'm going to talk about trading earnings with futures. We've invented some great methodology at 10 Minute Trades. And just as a reminder, what we do specifically, we use futures for trading. Our method is called the appointment-based trading methodology, and we use currently the Ninja Trader platform. That's what's required if you want to be a member of our service and get the most out of it. Then you want to be a Ninja Trader platform user, and you want to also be trading futures. Okay. Now, I know that millions, lots of people say you don't want to trade news. Well, it's absurd not to trade news. You're trading news, whether you like it or not. You're trading news at almost every moment of the day, especially now. And the key to trading news is to have a system. We have software, we have strategies, we have everything that fits together. We're very, very transparent, and we don't hide anything because we have a trade room. And in our trade room, we trade prop, we trade live, and we trade sim. There's plenty of times when it's not appropriate to take a trade, and it's just as important to know when to trade as it is to know when not to trade. It's very, very important to know what is safe, what isn't safe, what is smart, what isn't smart. And that's part of the whole battle of being a successful trader. The beauty of news trading, and you can call it whatever you want. Appointment-based trading is a fancy way of saying news trading. That's what we do. That's what we're proud that we do. You could change your life because 10 minutes a day, if you trade well, you can make more money than people that are trading hours a day. So the reason that people love news trading is because it can be short and sweet. But the key is the elements that make up news trading. And we have four major elements that create our system. We have a weekly schedule, which, by the way, everybody can get our weekly schedule for free. All you have to do is go to www.10minutetrades.com, opt in for our free video, how to find your own 10-minute trades, and we'll automatically put you on an email list for our weekly market mover, which is a fancy way of saying our weekly schedule. Our weekly schedule tells you many of the important events that we're looking at in the upcoming week. So there are times of the day that you want to be especially alert if you're in the market. That would be element one. Element two would be the DMM. Many of the events that we trade get a special treatment, and they get a trade report active, an activity report. And it's a report that shows possible trade setups, the specific event, and that's what we call the DMM. And we send our DMM to our members the day before the event takes place. So for instance, today we had the FOMC minutes, and we always try to trade the FOMC minutes. Sometimes it moves the market a lot, sometimes it doesn't. And it also depends what market are you trading. Are you trading gold futures? Are you trading the S&P, the mini S&Ps, the ES? The instrument you trade is going to, be very influential in how the market moves. Not every instrument moves on every report. And we have spent years studying all the various news reports to try and come up with the best instruments to trade, the ones that offer the best probabilities for profit. And then the third element in our system naturally is a live trade room. We have a trade room on a schedule. And I'll show you what I'm talking about with schedules, but live trade room, for us, it's one of the most important elements to our whole system, because in the trade room, every day we have, at least almost every day, we have one trade room. Every now and then, a lot of times Mondays don't have a lot of news, so maybe there won't be a trade room on a fair amount of Mondays, but we might have 5 trade rooms on a Thursday, and we might have 3 on a Tuesday. But the beauty of our system is those trade rooms are they're always known in advance. So you can create a schedule for yourself that works. You could have a full-time job, still trade with us. You could use us as a full-time trading system. It's so variable because you'll know in advance when you're going to be in the market looking for a trade, when you're going to be in our trade room. And in the trade room, not only do we teach how to use the system every day over and over so that it just gets ingrained into you so that you're comfortable as quickly as possible, but we go over the events. We look at previous trades that we took. We record constantly all of these news events so that we are not surprised by the way that they move. And we often know what to expect. And the fourth most important element then, of course, is software. We have a group of strategies that literally take about 1 minute to load and get going in NinjaTrader. They install into NinjaTrader and become a part of the platform, as do almost all strategies and indicators. It's one of the reasons everyone loves using NinjaTrader. It's a great, great platform to trade the way that we trade. And our software strategy covers quite a few different setups. We have earnings setups, we have breakouts. This news trading probably got started. If you want to know a little bit of the history of news trading, it probably was called spike trading in the old days, because what you used to do is put a bracket on your chart, and a bracket is just very simple. You'd have an order below the current price, you'd have an order above the current price, and then news would come out, the market you're trading would burst up or down, and you'd get pulled into the market depending where your bracket is. That is still an extremely valid method of trading. the news. Many of our trades are bracket trades, and they're great trades. One of our top trades of the past couple of weeks was a bracket trade. It was the ADP report, and that report trades every month. I've been trading that report since I started working here, 8 years, I would say. So our ADP report, just to give an example how we integrate all of these elements. So element number one was the weekly schedule. The weekly schedule, of course, it told us when the ADP report was going to take place. We know that the news reports that we trade, they're regulated. They have to be released at a certain time in a very reliable way because those are the rules for news releases. So that makes it possible to create setups based on time, which allows us obviously to create everything around a set schedule. So you've got the weekly schedule. We knew the ADP report was on a Wednesday. It always is. And it's always at 8:15 Eastern time in the morning. And that allows us to create our DMM, our Daily Market Mover Trade Action Report, I like to call it. And it has a bracket in ticks. It has targets that we expect. It has a stop that we're going to use. But even more importantly, it has a lot of other information. It has a mini journal of the last 6 months. How has this event been trading? How has it been treating us? Have we made money on it? Is there a profitable opportunity for this report? This report had 5 out of 6 winning months in the last 6 months. So do you think we traded it last Wednesday? You bet we traded it. 5 out of 6 winners is a family money trade. That's what we call our best of the best trades. Now, I want to be very clear about something because people get very confused. We are not your traditional trading company. We don't put everything together in a lump and say we have one simple success or failure rate. When you trade the news, it doesn't work that way. You want to look at every individual report and judge each report on its success or failure. So for instance, if you take the ADP report, we look at usually the last 6 months. That gives us an idea of whether or not this is a good report to trade. It's been a winner for 5 or 6 months. There's also more information on the daily report. If you look at this little journal here, 5 months ago, 6 months ago, it only moved 20 ticks. That would be a small winner because remember, you have a bracket and a bracket takes up ticks. Then we had some that moved 34 ticks, 36 ticks, 108 ticks in April. That was a very big mover. And then in June, it moved 67 ticks. We use a 15 bracket on that report. So if you get a 30, 40 tick move, you're going to have a nice opportunity for profit. We trade gold on that report. Gold is $10 a tick. So if you have a target of 7 and a target of 13, that's potentially a $200 profit. And that profit can be very quick. Now, the beauty of our trade room is in our trade room, we're analyzing the behavior of this report. We're seeing the last 2 reports moved much more than our second target, which was only 13 ticks. So a lot of times in the trade room, we will make intelligent decisions based on the most recent data that we have, and we might, for instance, increase our targets because the report is now showing larger moves. So the importance of the trade room in relation to everything that we do is extremely important. The trade room is where everything that we do flows from. We're constantly discussing the markets. You've got to be on your toes in these markets because of all of the real-time talking and tweeting that's going on that might be creating volatility prior to the news event. So the trade room is very important. And I highly recommend that someone who joins with us spend time in the trade room because that's also where we do our education. Not only do we discuss the event and how to set up the software, how to set up the trades, but we're also going over how to do it. How do you use the software? How do you use NinjaTrader to help make our software easier and safer so that trading the news can be a good experience for you? How does it relate to your prop account? What happens in a prop account on very fast moving events? We know that sometimes there can be issues with the data feeds. So we are aware of all of this information that helps news trading become as profitable and as safe as any kind of trading can be. Every system has its own unique sets of risks, and every system needs to be understood before you take a real trade so you don't risk your money unnecessarily. And that's the importance of our trade room. So the ADP report, it had 5 out of 6 winners. I got into this whole conversation. I wanted to explain the elements of what we do, the schedule, the daily market trade event, the trade room, discussing the setup. We actually made our targets a little bit bigger. The news came out, and you could see right here, our software automatically brackets the trade. You don't have to fumble around on a chart. You just watch it. You set the trade up before the news comes out. There was a burst to the upside. Our first target was hit. Our software has the ability to move the stop to safety above your entry. And then we had the capability of manually trailing as price went up, increasing our profit well beyond the 13 tick target. That was a really strong, profitable trade. And if you were in our trade room learning how to do it with us, you had the opportunity to make money trading the ADP report. That is a very succinct explanation of how we do things at 10-minute trades. I love trading this type of method. So let me go back into my slides a little bit and show you the weekly schedule. The WMM is our weekly schedule. This is a very recent one, and it shows the time of the event we're going to trade. It shows the time that our trade room opens. So it shows you our weekly trade room schedule. We started that week Monday. We had Goldman Sachs earnings, and we're now, what's interesting is this schedule was almost exactly a year ago from today, because right now, next week, I believe, we'll be back into earnings season with Goldman Sachs earnings. We trade many of selected stock earnings using futures. We have discovered a method that allows us to trade futures with our software on some of the most profitable or the most impactful moving earnings trades that exist in the market. So in other words, we trade Apple, we trade Amazon, we trade some of the big banks, Goldman Sachs, we trade United Health earnings, we trade Microsoft, and I can go on and on. When we first started trading earnings, we only traded the FANG stocks. They don't call them FANG stocks anymore. Now they call them the Magnificent Seven because Facebook changed their name. But it was Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. They were the FANG stocks. And then we added to them IBM and Microsoft. And that's how we started trading earnings probably about 6 years ago. We just happened to notice when we were trading end of the day setups that clearly there was something that was creating these great moves in the markets around when earnings were being released. And, it doesn't take a genius to know that it was the earnings that were causing these outsized moves in the futures. And it took time. We developed some systems. When we first started out, we didn't even know when the earnings were being released because we didn't know the tools to use. I didn't know. I had never traded futures with earnings before. And over time, we came up with a fantastic methodology for trading futures with earnings using a whole bunch of free tools or very inexpensive tools to help us to do this. And now we have a whole system for trading earnings in addition to all our normal news trades. and it's a great way to trade. We use a website called earningswhispers.com. Earningswhispers.com helps us to find the earnings trade schedules. So there's a very important difference between trading earnings and trading, for instance, a jobs report or NFP or the FOMC minutes. Those types of trades, FOMC minutes, jobs reports, GDP, those types of trades, their releases are regulated pretty much by the government, and the government is releasing that data. Stock earnings are different. They are released by the companies, and they can release their earnings whenever they want to. There's a window of time within which they release their earnings because the earnings are quarterly. But there is no rule that says Apple has to release their earnings at a certain time every quarter. So we've done research for years finding the companies that offer the most reliable time-based earnings releases, and they also obviously have to have a good move in an associated futures market so we can set up a trade. So we use earningswhispers.com to find the schedule initially. Then, of course, we find the stock itself, and earningswhispers.com has some features that help us to determine whether or not a stock is worth trading. Let me go through some of this for you, because this is all very much the same way that we trade normal news. So in other words, earningswhispers.com is a free website that has so much information on it. It's vital for us to use it to trade earnings. You go to earningswhispers.com, click on calendar, and then across the top, it gives you the charts of the various time frames that you're going to want to trade earnings. Now, today, for whatever reason, it's not working the way it normally does. That's fine. I wasn't really giving a full lesson on earningswhispers.com, but normally across the top, you'll get a greatest hits, the most popular stocks that are trading. You can just scroll down and you can look at that particular stock. It will show you the previous earnings release, the date that it released, and then when you have the dates that companies release their earnings, then you can test using the playback feature in NinjaTrader, for instance, right? And you can then test whether or not you have a valid futures trade. So now I click calendar, I can use their little control panel, and I could look at the schedule that's coming up next week. JP Morgan, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, a whole bunch of possible earnings trades. I'm just shooting through them. Goldman Sachs will be trading that. And we use earningswhispers.com to help us to create the schedule. Then we also use thinkorswim. Everybody's familiar with thinkorswim. For $50, you can open a thinkorswim account and you can create an account that lets you watch the actual stock movement before and after the markets open. So that's another great tool that we use to help us trade earnings with futures. Also, I know that a lot of members, a lot of folks out there are TradingView customers. People love TradingView. Well, I bet you didn't even know there's a free version of TradingView, and the free version of TradingView lets you look at stock prices. If you want to look at TradingView free, you can then type in stock prices. Let me see if I can show this to you real quick. You could type in the stock prices. Not only does it show you the stock chart before the market opens and after the market opens with some great movement, but also if you're not sure what instrument you might want to trade a stock, you could just type in, say, FedEx, FDX, and it shows you FedEx is an NYSE stock. So we would most probably trade FedEx with the YM. Or we might look at Apple and we click on Apple. Okay, and here we've got the actual stock, the actual prices. Apple is a NASDAQ stock. So most probably we're going to be trading Apple with the NQ futures. So TradingView Free is another great tool that we use that helps us to trade earnings using futures. So we've got our weekly schedule. The weekly schedule shows the instrument we're definitely thinking of trading on the event. And it also says, does this event get the DMM treatment? Then I showed you a DMM, a daily market mover report. The yellow line is the actual setup we're considering using on the trade. And then the instrument that we're trading is listed on the report. Many of our DMMs have a journal, past behavior. And then our third element is our news trader software. It's a custom strategy add-on to NinjaTrader. Our software has multiple setups that you can trade. So what do we mean? It has a straight ahead breakout trade like I showed everybody, right? You can create a simple bracket trade. You can create what we call reverse continuation trades, which are some of the most important trades that we're taking in these markets today. What's a simple reversal continuation trade? A lot of times news will get released, and then after the news, a trend will get created. We can, in the matter of about 1 minute, create a reversal continuation trade on any chart. Click a button, enter the market long, enter the market short, and it allows us to catch these great moves after the news. After the news, trading has become almost as important as trading at the time of the news itself. Sometimes also there might be a setup where our testing has shown that taking a trade at the exact moment of the news isn't safe. It hasn't been working for that particular event. So you might want to wait, let the news come out, and set up an after the news trade. Well, our software has the ability to do that, and our education takes all of that into mind, and we teach our members how to do that. And then one of our other very, very popular setups is the magnet setup. If you know, and most of you don't even realize that this happens, but how many times have you been waiting for your setup to take place when you've noticed, for instance, the high of the day got tested, it gets hit, or the low of the day get hit? You're thinking yourself, you know what, I should have had a trade to get me out of the market at the high of the day or the low of the day, or at the PP pivot, or maybe you use Fibonacci levels and you want to create a custom magnet. A magnet is a level that lots of traders look at. Lots of traders put their orders around those areas, and the magnet is actually an exit for a trade. So we created a very simple to use magnet strategy that exits around these magnet areas, these areas that traders are trading around. That's a whole other strategy for right before the news, right after the news. Even if you like watching charts for an hour in the morning at a busy time of day, magnets are constantly being tested. VWAPs are magnets. R1 is a magnet. High of day is a magnet. We have a setup that lets you design your own magnets or trade our automated high of day, low of day magnet system. Our software is also what we call a super ATM program. It's an automated trade manager. How many times have you bought or taken out a subscription to a platform? NinjaTrader for one, TradeStation is another, and that platform has like a built-in programming language, and you have to learn that language so you could trail your stops, put your orders on the chart, move your stop if you want to move your stop if a target gets hit. Well, you have to learn a language to do it, and that's time consuming. Our software has those features built in. And literally every day in the trade room, we go over how to do that. How do you set up the software so that, for instance, if it hits a target, it'll move your stop to safety? That's really important. And look at this ADP trade that I showed you before. There's a feature in this trade called target one stop move. Very simple. If target one is hit and filled, my stop moves almost to safety. It could move above safety, which is entry plus a couple of ticks. In this case, I moved my stop automatically just before where I entered the market. So I guarantee my trade could be profitable even if it reverses quickly after my first target is hit. In most platforms, you have to write a little program to do that. With our software, it's really easy to do. And of course, what I was saying is we teach how to do that in all of our trade rooms. Okay, the appointment-based trading method, it's a simple method. It's time-based. It's a time-based approach to the market. You schedule your trades on specific days, specific times, up to a month in advance. I like to really do it a week in advance. Appointment-based trading is no more riskier than any other style of trading because the key is you've got software, you've got setups, you've got defined risk, and that's the way you keep yourself as safe as possible in any trading system. You want to have a set of risk parameters that you're working with, and that's what we use at 10-minute trades. Why do I love this style of trading? Well, number one, nobody wants to be in the market all day long. The longer you spend in the market, the more opportunity there is to lose money. The shorter amount of time over the years I found, the less that I trade, the less time I'm in the market, the more you can make, the less mistakes you make. Let's be honest, trading is not easy. It's not simple to get someone to give you money. You got to earn it. You got to put the time in. You have to learn how to do it. The less I trade, the more I make. And then the other issue is trading can be very boring. You could sit around for hours and hours waiting for setups to occur, but not with us. We know when the setups are going to occur. We know when the markets are going to move because that's what news trading is all about. What triggers an earnings trade? What triggers a news trade? It's the events that takes place. How do you find these events? The calendars. The calendars are all free. That's part of the beauty of a lot of what we do is we are helping our members by supplying as many free tools as humanly possible. Forexfactory.com is one of our favorite calendars. If you just go to that website, forexfactory.com, click the word calendar, you get a full week of news events color-coded by impact. We know, because we've been doing this, like I said, for more than 8 years, we know the ones that are worthwhile trading. Just because it has a red file folder does not mean 100% that's a great event to trade. But for everybody new out there, that's a great place to start because red means there's probably going to be a market impact. So we love Forex Factory. We like Financial Juice. Financial Juice Pro has a squawk box. That's not free, but it's very reasonably priced. And it's something that we use every day in our trade room. And we love it. And we recommend it for our members. And then another great calendar, investing.com. You go to their website, click on the word tools, economic calendar, and now you can see what's going on by clicking this week. You get a full week of events. They don't use color. They use a little star system. 3 stars is the most impactful events. 2 stars is less. You get the picture. And you can easily see which events may be worth trading. So you take these calendars give us events to test. Over the years, we've tested over and over and over these categories of events to trade. And we have come up with the best ones to trade. And we've come up with these 3 important categories: high impact economic reports, big company earnings reports, and market opens and closes. Those are the 3 categories. And within those categories, there are literally hundreds of events to trade. Add to that earnings trades, add to that magnet trades, and we offer our members a tremendous amount of opportunities in the market all week long. You can trade in a prop account, you can trade in a cash account. Obviously, there are rules with the different prop companies. Let me show you a couple of quick trades that our members and we have taken. Like I said, earnings season is coming up. I showed you the ADP report. Now, everybody always asks, what's your success rate? The right question to ask is, what's your success rate for the ADP report? What's your success rate for the FOMC statement? There's not a blanket success rate. All of our events have an individual success rate. Do we trade every single event that we have listed on our schedule? Of course not, because that would be nuts. Why would you trade an event that isn't working well on a regular basis? That's why we study these events, and we trade the ones that have a history of behaving. That's the whole idea. Some of the events that people don't even know that you should trade. Who's thinking about trading Broadcom's earnings? Well, Broadcom is one of our best earnings trades. We've studied Broadcom. We know what time they release their earnings. And what did I say before? Broadcom release their earnings in a reliable way so that when their earnings come out, we can set our software up to take advantage of the exact time that their earnings come out. Quarter after quarter, Broadcom releases their earnings at 4:15 p.m. They move the NQ, and we can set up a trade, either MNQ, NQ, and by the way, most people don't even know that they are AVGO. They don't use BRCM as their symbol. It's AVGO. A lot of people don't even know that. So it's very important to be involved with a company that studies these events so that we understand which are the best ones to trade, which are the ones that are going to give us the best opportunity for profit. Obviously, not every trade is a winner. Broadcom, recent quarter, this was the last Broadcom trade. It was in June. The price exploded. It gave us an instant profit over $500, and members that traded it with us in our room made money on that trade because it was not a hard one to trade. It moved in one direction, it filled our orders, and it hit our targets. It was a beautiful trade. Other events that we trade, not every trade is a $500 trade. Some trades are smaller. Caterpillar, for instance. Caterpillar is an early morning trade. Caterpillar, I believe, let's see, it's 6:30 in the morning. So we get up, we go into our trade room early in the morning, Eastern time, 6:30. We recommend anyone who's a member, come trade it, okay? So Broadcom, Caterpillar, excellent, excellent moves, great opportunity. Look at that move, bingo. So here's the deal, folks. This is a very quick, great webinar. We put up and set up a special for just $199. You can spend 3 months with us. Trade in a prop account, get absolutely everything we sell, everything. Family money trades, earnings, breakouts, magnet trades. I will guide you step by step in our trade room. Our software is included. It's a full pro membership, magnet strategy, our reversal trap trade, the daily trade reports, trade room access, absolutely everything. And we have a short link. I'll give you the link and then I'm going to go. I want to thank everybody at Festival of Traders. www.gopro90. Let me get the right link, folks. I got so many slides. www.gopro90.com. Click the link, 3 months for $199. Why 3 months? Because let's be honest, everyone, you need to spend more than 2 weeks checking out any system. Highly recommend you join with us. Everyone is being subject to news trading. You might as well learn how to benefit from it and make some money from it. So www.gopro90.com. Thank you, everybody at Festival of Traders. Thank you for letting me present. And thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.